As a person who spends a lot of time driving and testing sport side-by-sides, I often surprise myself with how excited I get when the time comes to test a utility unit. Kawasaki's MULE Pro-FXT EPS LE is a prime example of how an honestly pretty unexciting vehicle by pure sport standards has me excited nonetheless. Believe me, I'm as curious to find out why as you are. The first thing about the MULE FXT I noticed when I climbed behind the wheel was just how big it feels. Compared to a Ranger Crew or even a Defender Max, this thing feels big. Dimensionally, its outer measurements aren't any bigger though. In fact, its length is quite a bit shorter. But it feels big, and sometimes that feels good. It also seems to be extremely well built. Sturdy is the word that comes to mind. Everything about this vehicle seems to be designed and built to handle anything you can throw at it. From its front and rear protective brush bars to its solid half doors, it's just a tough machine. And I like that in a utility side-by-side. I want something I can depend on. Furthermore, it feels like it was intelligently designed and appointed. Little things like the door latches, they're easy to use and they work. Or this center-mounted grab handle for the front passenger, something no other utility side-by-side has. These might seem like little things, but when you're climbing in and out of a side-by-side all day long, little things can become big things real fast. The shifter is buttery smooth, though I did find you can't rush it when shifting. Taking your time to move between drive modes results in smooth and positive shift results. The dash is a little on the utilitarian side, but doesn't look out of place, and the only complaint with the interior layout is that the switches on the dash are a long reach for the driver. I like the tilt steering, though I have to say once I set it, I never did adjust it. On a vehicle like this, I also like having a parking brake versus a parking setting in the transmission. It allows me to park on a hill without that cringe-inducing clunk when you pull another style transmission from park into drive. The T in our FXT LE model refers to it having Kawasaki's trans cab, which means the back seat can be transformed to increase the bed size considerably. 2 bench seats hold 3 people each and really are roomy enough for 3 adults. The bench seats may look uncomfortable, but for utility purposes or mild trail riding, they're actually surprisingly comfortable. There's also tons of space in the back seat, so even big guys don't feel cramped. The bed of the FXT is pretty small when you're in 6-seat mode. This is one of the trade-offs you have to accept if you want a shorter wheelbase than a vehicle like a Ranger Crew that seats 6 and has a full-size bed. When converted though, the bed is huge. In our opinion, this trade-off is entirely worth it unless you absolutely must carry 6 people all the time. With that said, converting the bed requires a college degree the first time you do it, and we think having to unlatch the roof bungees so the back bed can tilt is pretty wonky. There's gotta be a slicker way to do this. All in all, the utility aspects of the Mule are spot on, and things only get better when you move to the more technical bits underneath. The MULE FXT is powered by a 3-cylinder 812cc electronically fuel-injected engine built by Chery. If you're thinking, where have I seen this engine before? The answer is in one of Dirt Trax TV's favorite utility side-by-sides of all time, the Gator 825i. It's the same engine, and we love it just as much here as we do there. Top speed is an admirable 46 miles per hour, but don't expect to win any drag races. It takes a while to get there. This isn't what the Mule's all about though, so it's not a negative. Power delivery is just so smooth, and low-end power feels bottomless. We definitely like the sound of this 3-cylinder engine, but in this vehicle it's extremely quiet, which is nice because it means you can talk to the passengers in the cab without having to yell. Suspension-wise, the Mule is so much more than its specifications would suggest. Double A-arms produce 8.7 inches of travel front and rear, and you've got 10 inches of ground clearance to work with. The shocks are only preload adjustable. Realistically, these specs are nothing special. But on the trail, the suspension is so plush, and it feels like there's way more travel than there actually is. The same goes for ground clearance. It feels like there's way more than 10 inches. Overall, the ride of the MULE FXT Pro is fantastic. Our FXT EPS LE obviously includes single-mode EPS that works excellent. It also includes extras like a full roof, aluminum wheels, and additional lighting. All Mule models include high and low range shiftable 4x4 with locking front diff and unlocking rear. Our unit has an accessory windshield, front bumper, and winch to top things off. Interior storage is one area the Mule is unnecessarily lacking. A center cubby and this glove box is all you really have to work with. But I say unnecessarily because if you lift up the front seat, the space is cavernous and offers huge storage potential. A hinged front seat and basic bin-style containers underneath should be standard equipment instead of an accessory, especially on the LE model. It just makes a world of sense. Why do I like the MULE Pro-FXT EPS LE? Because it does exactly what I expected it to do, and it does it well. There are very few things about this vehicle that drive me crazy or make me question the sanity of its designers. It simply works. And when it comes to a utility side-by-side, there really is nothing more important than that. Thanks for watching this segment of Trax TV. For more great content, make sure you click the links or subscribe to our channel where we're always updating with new content every day throughout the week.